Okay, we're live. We're live. A little bit later on today, around 6 p.m., we're going to be doing Prison City as scheduled. But today, before we do that, I want to get this Psylocke Beginner's Guide for Marvel Superheroes out of the way. Of course, I'm keeping the audio muted, among other things. Let me do some checking real quick before we get started, because slow-mo did not get deactivated. Okay, it's off. There we go. I hate when that happens. Anyway, we're back to doing some more beginner's guides for Marvel superheroes. One thing I do want to go over before I start my guide with Psylocke, the only characters I'm going to be doing guides for are pretty much those that are going to be playable online for ranked matches. I could be wrong on the casual matches though, if they allow you to play as Doctor Doom, Anita, and Thanos, but unfortunately, since those characters cannot be used on the versus screen for rank and online matches, we're just going to cover the ones that players are allowed to use on ranked. So I just want to get that clarified before we get started. So anyway, we're going to be covering one of the 4 playable X-Men characters, Psylocke. Psylocke has a pretty interesting history in general because she was originally a telepath, and she's the twin sister of the former Captain Brennan. Um, Forgot his name though. My apologies. I haven't read comics in a long time. But needless to say, she initially began as a government agent in her home country. I believe it was Strike. I believe before she got captured and was rescued by the New Mutants, and then she joined the X-Men under the codename of Psylocke. Now, she was heavily featured during the late 1980s. During the early 1990s, though, Spiral would switch Betsy's mind and spirit to a body of an assassin, which she currently used for up to about at least 2 decades, up um, until more recently, where she regained her original body as well as the assassin that originally had her original body. So currently, Kelowna now is the current Psylocke, whereas Betsy's now the current Captain Britain in current comics lore for now. But technically, when you refer to Psylocke, you usually refer to Betsy as the as to what she is right here as Kelowna's in Kelowna's body here. But yeah, she's had a pretty interesting life for the most part in comics. She did die in the late '90s and was revived during the early to mid 2000s. But anyway, she serves as our go-to ninja, and she's also the only playable female character on the entire roster for Marvel superheroes. So, like Wolverine, she's technically a combo expert, pretty much. Like she can easily chain most of her normals together and get some pretty good hits. And if you're fast enough, you can get some specials into it as well. So technically, she's meant to be a more offensive character. For the most part, as her combo ability is pretty high, just like Wolverine's. So if you're very good at doing combos, air combos, etc., she along with Wolverine and Spider-Man will play very good to your taste. But since this is beginner's guide, we will be showing only a few combos, but not a whole lot. So anyway, we're going to be covering the movement, the normals, the throws, the specials, and then the supers. Um, Unlike most of the playable characters, Psylocke has 3 super moves, and that accommodates her pretty huge special bar of three levels in general. Most characters will usually have either 1 meter or 2 meters, and Psylocke is one of those few characters that gets 3 meters to use overall. So anyway, we're going to cover her movement first. So this is basically her movement. She has pretty good walk speed for the most part. Pretty fair. And this is her dashing. She can cover pretty good, ground. Now, if you hold down back or down back and you assign your 3 punches to one of your buttons, you can easily pull this off, like in some more dashes. But you gotta have a certain stopgap in between the presses, otherwise you won't be able to do the movement. The dash is very short, but it's a pretty good way to psych out enemies and opponents. Now, her Infinity Mini Gem requires the Power Gem. She gets clones to use, unlike Spider-Man's, which is used to fool opponents into thinking there's one behind them. Her clones can actually rack up more damage and land more hits as well. So this is actually a reference to one of her X abilities in Children of Atom. So along with her, Wolverine, Magneto, and Juggernaut, they're the only returning characters from Children of the Atom. Now, she does have triple jump. I did state in Captain America's guide that Psylocke had a double jump. I was wrong. Turns out she has a triple jump, which is right here. This can be used for both offensive and defensively. So if you're into combos, you can easily pull off some pretty huge ones if you're very good enough. Now, if you do a super jump, that's only going to let her do a double jump for the most part. But anyway, and her fall speed is pretty decent. This gives you a little bit more air time. Doesn't come down nearly as fast, and it's not nearly as slow. So you can take full advantage of being a little bit more safe or whatever. So anyway, that covers Psylocke's movement. Now we're going to cover her norms. So this is her. We'll go over the light punch. This is her standing light punch, crouching light punch. It actually comes out pretty fast. And this is her jumping light punch. So this is the damage that happens when she connects with those. Now that we covered the light punches, this is actually pretty much her combo starter, which you could start off right off the gate. You can also do light kick as well. But technically, the light punch is mostly used for ground as well as air combo starters. So this is her medium punch. This actually has some pretty decent range. Now, the aerial medium punch can be used in air combos, but it's very hard to connect. So we're going to do this against the opponent now. We had to have her jump because this can only work when the opponent's in the air. So there's no special commands for the medium punch as well as light punch. So this is Psylocke's heavy punch next. This gives her a traditional psychic knife, which she gained as a result of being in Kawana's body, pretty much. This is her down heavy, and this is her jumping heavy. And this is also her launcher, by the way, the down heavy. And there you go in terms of damage. So Psylocke has no unique commands for normals on her punches, but her kicks do, in particular her medium and heavy. So let's go over her kicks next. So this is her light kick, standing that is. Can also be used somewhat as an anti-air. This is her crouching light, comes out pretty fast. And this is also, like her medium punch, also used for air combos. Now that we covered the light kicks, let's go over her medium kicks. This is her standing medium kick. This is her downward medium kick. And this is her aerial kick, medium kick. So this is what happens when you inflict damage with these attacks. Now she has a unique medium kick command. If you hold forward, and press medium kick, you'll get this. This technically gives the impression that it hits low, but it actually hits mid. So even if you're it's meant to fool opponents that are guarding low and make them think it's an overhead. Let me see if I can get them to crouch. Fortunately, yeah, there we go. Oh, so it actually does hit crouching guard opponents. My bad. Well, you learn something every day. I don't know if it breaks block on crouching block, though. So yeah, this can be blocked on low, but if they're not blocking low, you can still hit them. So that's pretty interesting. So if your opponents love to play low and all the time, you can always use the forward medium kick to force them out of that state. So that's her only. That covers her medium kicks. Now we're going directly into her heavy kick. So she has two unique commands, but we'll cover the standard heavy kick versions first. So this actually has some pretty good range for the standing heavy kick. This is her downward heavy kick, which acts as a sweep. And this is also her heavy kick aerial. So now we're going to show you what happens when they land on the opponent. And this is, she has three unique commands with the heavy kick. So if you hold forward heavy kick, well, during the animation of the heavy kick, you'll move forward. This can let you close the gap in between your opponents. And this is our back heavy kick. And this is supposedly part of the combo you're supposed to be doing with Psylocke. Like this, but it's regarded as a special, but it's not a very good one. Okay, I see what it does. Ah, I see. This, if you do juggle, this is actually pretty good for juggles, actually. For the most part, but in fact, I was holding back when I did that, and it still wound up getting the effect off. But if you do get them in an air, get them on the fall or whatever, you can basically get an air combo going right off of this move. Hang on one second real quick. Sorry about that. Okay, so that covers the ground versions, but Psylocke does have a third heavy kick unique command, and when you hold up during a jump, she'll do this. This is actually a pretty good way to counter jumpers, like this. And this can also be used from aerial attacks, too. Let's see if I can get that correct. Like that. So that actually extends the air combo. Let's see if we can get that going again. So you can also use that as an ender for air combos rather than going for the standard heavy enders. And that can also be used as a perfect air defense. So if they're going at you, you can use that to counter their jump-ins, or use that as a perfect ender for combos, or like this, like I just did right now. Like I did a jumping medium deep, and I went straight into up heavy kick. So basically you can use that as an air defense, or even a combo ender, or even a good way to get some more hits during a jumping attack. But anyway, that covers Psylocke's normals. So we're going to be going into the throws. So Psylocke has two different throws. She has the medium version, which allows her to launch enemies. This could be thrown forward or back. And this is her heavy punch version, which is the heck wheel. And it's pretty awesome to see. And this can also be comboed right off of the OTG into air combos if you're quick enough. But overall, the heck throw is pretty awesome to utilize. And it can also be performed in the air, which also serves as her aerial throw. Now, unfortunately, Psylocke does not have any kick throws for her commands, so that covers her throws. So now we're going to go into her specials. The first special we're going to be covering is Side Blast, and like in Children of Adam, Psylocke's Side Blast does pretty much roughly the same amount of damage as regardless of the strength. So each one fires 3 different ways. The light punch will always fire at a 45-degree low angle. The medium version fires straight across. In the fierce version, the heavy version will fire at a 45 upward degree angle. Now, these can be actually used in combos, actually. Well, if you're fast enough, that is. Well, that went poorly, but if you saw what I was trying to do, I was trying to go for a side blast and get that going, actually. But technically, you can chain those into combos if you're quick enough. There we go. That's technically what you should be doing with your side blast if you want to go on the offensive. But this is actually one of the few projectiles that Psylocke gets access to. And one interesting thing is that whenever she uses her psychic powers to attack, they turn into a form of a butterfly. In fact, you pretty much notice this in comics that whenever she uses her psychic powers, they take the form of a butterfly around her head, which is pretty much a motto for Psylocke as a whole. But anyway, that's Side Blast. So the next one we're going to cover is Side Blade. Side Blast was quarter front punches. Side Blade is quarter front kicks. X did that wrong. Now, apparently you can actually rack up more hits. So if you mash your kick buttons quick enough, that is. But technically they can usually go up to 2. Yeah, that did not go the way I wanted it to. But apparently if you mash all kicks, you can actually rack up some additional hits with the blade. But usually when you're not doing them, you're only hitting 2. As you can see, by inputting more kicks, you can actually rack up some more hits with the side blade. You have to be careful though, because you might accidentally trigger the super involved with that. And that could be useful as a combo ender. Like that. And get some more additional hits, but you gotta rack in your punch buttons and kicks. But technically, it is possible to get more additional hits with your side blade when you mash more kicks or punches. If anyone does know more about this move, please feel free to put it in the comments. I'll be doing that I'll be exporting this to YouTube. So anyone that knows more than I would pretty much know more about the character than I would. But this guide's meant for beginners, but if you know more about the side blade mechanics for this move, feel free to put that out. So her final special move is Teleport. Now it's half quarter circle back, and uniquely you can actually perform it with any punch or kick. And where Psylocke appears depends on the strength. So this is what happens when you perform the light punch version. This is what happens when you perform medium. You're still in one place, and that can be used to fool opponents into thinking you're going to appear on other areas. This is the heavy version. That puts her far away from the opponent. So the light version will always be right near the opponent. So the punch versions actually move you either closer or further to your opponent. Now the kick versions will always put you right behind the opponent. And this puts you one of those 4 spots where whenever you do the light or heavy punches, it pretty much force you into a guessing game. So you can definitely use this to fool opponents into thinking you're trying to teleport near them or far away. And this could be an excellent tool to fool opponents into thinking that they're coming for you. Or you can use that as an escape tool. Now, there is a move that's actually unique to Psylocke, depending on your moves. And she gets this. If you hold a direction and one of your attack buttons, you get a side blade right after that. And that can be used as an immediate attack right off the gate. So this can be used with any version that you use. And this gives you a me side thrust without the super effects with it. And that's also considered a special, even though that's more of a combo command, pretty much. Like I said before, that can also be used during when your opponents come down from the sky and you want to hit them with this move in general. It's considered a special for some odd reason. But anyway, that covers most of Psylocke's specials. Now we're going to go ahead and cover her supers next. So Psylocke has 3 super moves. She's probably the only character playable that's actually got more supers than most characters. They either usually have 1 or 2. The only character in the entire game with more supers than Psylocke is Thanos himself, which uses each one of the gems. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and cover each one. So this is Side Thrust. You can actually add more hits if you're mashing punches and directions. You'll notice that it would have stopped at the end, but because I was mashing directions and punches, I was able to get more hits. And you can also change the direction of it during this while you're doing more punches and whatnot. So basically, you can use 1 punch or more to get more hits, as well as change your direction in the middle of that assault. And the good news is you can actually do this just about anywhere. You can even do this during while you're in the air, and you can even alter the direction right off the gate too. You can even use that to escape as well as psych opponents out and play some mind games in general. So Side Thrust is actually pretty good. You'll probably use it mostly for offense, but if you're very good at mind games in general, you can use this to fool opponents and get the heck out of the way. So let's say if how should I put this? Let's say if Wolverine's going for Weapon X, you proc Side Thrust first before he goes into that. You can easily go upwards or diagonally. And you can use that to escape supers or specials or whatever. But technically you're going to be using it mostly for offense, not for defensive purposes. But technically it's a very good trick to utilize for mind games and the whatnot. So you probably see me already use it a couple of times by accident, but this one's called Psy Maelstrom. In fact, we'll go ahead and reconfirm the move name. Yep, Psy Maelstrom. So we've used that by accident several times. So this is basically what happens when you perform this move. This is not only a big way to rack up more hits for a combo, but you can also use that as an anti-air as well. So if they're trying to jump at you and go for the attack, if you're fast enough, you can trap the opponent into this and get more hits off of it. And turns out when you mash buttons, you can actually get more damage off of it. So basically it was going up to 17 without mashing. You can actually rack up some more damage and hits with mashing more punches and kicks into the mix. So this actually helps you get more damage out with Psy Maelstrom. So this last one, that one will require, both of those will require quarter circle forward with either punch for thrust and kick for Maelstrom. But she does have a quarter circle back kick move that was added to this game in general. This is a can't even say the move. So this one's called Kochoyo Kakuro, or whatever that is. Sorry, I tend to butcher these names pretty badly. But this is basically a new super for Psylocke that allows her to call up multiple side butterflies to attack the opponent. But technically, if you can trap your opponents in air combos long enough, you can basically trap them in this, and you can get a lot more hits out of it. But technically, this is actually a pretty good way to trap them in a vortex, or if they try to get behind you, or they're still facing forward, you can also do this as well. It does have some usages, but if your opponents are going to be stupid enough to jump right at you, you can also use this against them. It's not nearly as great as Psy Maelstrom for an anti-air, but it does have its uses. And the fact that it can be performed from the air, like a Psy Thrust, makes it a very good sneak attack to use in general. Or a good way to fool opponents into thinking that you're not going to do anything. But anyway, that covers my guide for Psylocke in general. Like I said, these guides are only meant for beginners and to help anyone that wants to get into playing Marvel's superheroes. Like I said in my previous guides, I'm not a very good talker, but if you understand what I was trying to do in these guides, more power to you, and hopefully this will help anyone get into this game in general. Of course, there are a lot of expert players, but I'm hoping this adds to the knowledge pool for any sources to help any players get into these guides. I think the next guide I'll cover is Juggernaut, but I'll wait a few more days before we do that. And in my opinion, Juggernaut is probably the best Juggernaut in terms of combos for this game, but later installments, they kind of made sure that he wasn't extremely comboable unlike this game. But anyway, that'll be a different day and different time for him. I will have this posted up a little bit later on YouTube, exported and all that. And I will catch you all later for Prison City around 6 p.m. Eastern Time today. And I will see you all later. This is RotorStorm331 signing off. Have a great day. Take care, and I will see you all next